Welcome back to So Popular on Shift by MSNBC. I'm your host, Janet Mock. It's fair to say that comedian Amy Schumer is having a major media moment. She's got a buzzworthy Comedy Central series, a film about to hit the big screen, and a feminist message that never fails to garner millions of think pieces. But an opinion piece in The Guardian this week has kicked off a debate about her punchlines. Monica Heisey writes, "For such a keen observer of social norms and an effective satirist of the ways gender is complicated by them, Schumer has a shockingly large blind spot around race. Schumer's stand-up repeatedly delves into racial territory tactlessly and with no apparent larger point. Her stand-up special features jokes like nothing works 100% of the time except Mexicans, and much of her character's dumb slut persona is predicated on the fact that the men she sleeps with are people of color." Schumer responded with this tweet, "Put down your torches before reading this so you don't catch on fire." The tweet included a message which reads in part, "I enjoy playing the girl who time to time says the dumbest thing possible, and playing with race is a thing we are not supposed to do, which is what makes it so much fun for comics. You can call it a blind spot for racism or lazy, but you are wrong. It is a joke and it is funny. I ask you to resist the urge to pick me apart. Trust me, I am not a racist. I am a devout feminist and lover of all people. My fight is for everyone to be treated equally." Here to tackle this and much more, my smart-ass pop culture feminist clique, Ziba Blay, Voices culture writer for the Huffington Post and co-host of the podcast Two Brown Girls, Kevin Allred, the educator and speaker behind Politicizing Beyonce, and also the host of his own new podcast, Beyond Pop Culture, and Lauren Duca, entertainment reporter for the Huffington Post, who is, as we established on a previous episode of So Popular, not basic. Thank you so much for being here. You three are like my favorite combination. I wish we could have four, and I can throw in Alex Jung as well, because I think this week his piece for the Vulture was so powerful and just so on point. The thing I feel about the Amy Schumer thing is the way I feel about a lot of white feminists, right? This idea that, you know, because you're down for gender and pointing out sexism, but you kind of do it without a like an intersectional lens.
Yeah, and I think for me, like, I'm getting to the place now where, like, it's unfortunate that Amy Schumer doesn't want to make her comedy more intersectional, but at the end of the day, do I really care? I mean, like, someone who says, "I'm not a racist," that's like such
It's probably a racist,
and that's someone that I probably don't want to really be deconstructing race through humor, because she doesn't get it. So I don't know.
Well, and the idea that in that little tweet thing that she responded with, "I am not a racist, I am a feminist," as if those two things, like, she sets it up as an equation where no feminist can be a racist, but look at history, like.
The way she responded to it is so much of the problem.
Yeah.
Like, the article caught so much traction because of her response. Like, it was textbook Barbara Streisand effect, right? And like, then for her to be responding to it in this defensive, like, indignant way, that's what's so upsetting.
Well, and I also think that that's like a comedian thing for some reason. There's like there's a difficulty for them to take critique, and instead of just taking the critique and taking it in, they then go on to like PC culture, or they go completely on defense of that. I'm not this, and comedy should be a space where we can completely, like, nothing's off the record. Like, nothing is precious enough that we can't tease them about or make a joke about or turn into a punchline. And as an entertainment reporter, I wonder, what are your thoughts about comedy in that kind of space? I know a few weeks ago we talked about Jerry Seinfeld and the whole like PC culture, and I'm not talking to college kids because they don't get it, blah, 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 blah.
It's just such an arrogant stance to be taking. It's so funny coming from Jerry Seinfeld, who is just like the actual most G-rated comedian ever. So what is he really standing up for even? But just anytime somebody's saying politically correct in a way that is insulting or degrading, why are we trusting what they're saying? Why are we even listening to them? It's just such a level of disrespect, and it's almost always grounded in privilege and a lack of acknowledgement of intersectionality. So it's, you know, it's a kind of conversation that has a dead end.
So how do we have conversations? And I think this is one that we're going to continue to come to when it comes to white women who do have a platform, and a lot of their platform is based on feminism, right? And so because you're fighting for one section, I guess, one piece of oppression and not necessarily others, how do you then take on that critique, and how do we then push the conversation forward?
I mean, I think part of pushing the conversation forward is the way we start the conversation, right? It's like, why is it that any a woman who comes to prominence in pop culture and who does or says anything that's poignant is automatically like labeled as, okay, Amy Schumer is now the answer to feminism. She is now the savior of feminism, or the savior of whatever. It's like, we have to have a conversation that's a little bit more nuanced and recognize that Amy Schumer cannot be everything to every person. So like, while, you know, Lauren, while you may really identify or connect with her humor, I may not, and that should be okay. And from that, we can have larger discussions about.
I love this idea about not needing to be everything for everyone. What would have been the proper response from
Amy? I think to say, oh wow, people think some of my comedy is racist. Let me go look at those jokes and see who's laughing. And if the people that are laughing at the racism of it and not the, I mean, Sarah Silverman did this years back too, the same idea, but saying, you know, I'm a comedian, I can say it, I think it's funny, trust me, I think it's funny. Well, that doesn't mean that everyone trust me. That doesn't mean that everyone thinks it's funny, so who's laughing at your joke? Like, it's not the worst thing in the world that she tries a joke, but it's the worst thing in the world that she doesn't listen to the response of the joke, I think.
Yeah, I think, I have to be honest, my gut reaction was, I'm not ready for Amy Schumer backlash. Like, I am here for her and I'm a fan, but I think this is the clear point. She doesn't have to represent everyone, so this is why her response is the problem. Yeah. Not feeling like she has to apologize at all is a dangerous thing. Yeah. You know, she could have acknowledged that she made these positive strides, and almost like, I don't think Lena Dunham made such amazing changes to girls, but she at least was like, okay, I see you, my cast is all white, I'll make some changes. And it's just, that could have been an opportunity for that.
No one cares at the end of the day. So
and if your story is about being a white feminist, then tell the story of yourself. Don't try and bring race into, like, know your limits.
Yeah,
because not everyone.
I like that.